Just doing the ranking video with the Dragon Ball Z tier list for the first time. I liked doing it. I like doing rankings, so I want to get better at it, like ranking everything that like certain animes, movies, TV shows, things like that. The first one I always talking about after I finished the Inyuasha review was the Inyuasha movies and ranking them from like best to worst. I don't think there's a worst yet. So far, but at the time of this recording, I'm on 3, and they're all pretty high ranked. But the way I have my tier list is, if it's Shishomaru tier, it's a must watch. Watch it again, Get your friends to watch it, get them in Inyuasha through this movie. If it is a Inyuasha tier, it means you loved it. It's really good. You're gonna watch it like now and then and just have fond memories of it. If it's Kagome tier, it's like, I liked it, I'll probably watch it now and then, but like I don't feel like I need to watch it all the time. Kikyo tier, it's like watch it if it's on. Like if it just happens to be on, just go ahead and watch it. Like it's like you enjoy it if it is Kikyo tier, but it's just like if it's Sango tier, you're watching it because you're bored. Nothing else going on. Oh, you're bored. And Naraku tier is dog shit. Because the motherfucker always gets away and always gets defeated anyway. So, yeah. Alright guys, let's start with the 2001 movie, Inyuasha, Affections Across Time. So, what's the story? Well, the villain Minomaru needs to trick Inyuasha to use his Fang of Destruction to break a seal, stopping him from inheriting his father's power. He can't use the Tetsuya himself because there's a barrier protecting it. So he kidnaps Kagome, knowing Inyuasha will come save him because his father was also in love with the human. Should Minomaru succeed, he will reach his max power, and his soul-sucking moths will absorb the souls around all across the feudal era, I think it's called, and bring it back to the Tree of Ages, where his family and his family's power is stored. So, as far as story, that's kind of basic, but it's also, it's basic as far as the villain needs the hero to do something for them so they can reach their max power and they take over the world. But it's done in a unique way because it involves our main character, because Minomaru's father was originally killed. Minomaru's father, Hyoga, and his army of demons were killed by Inyuasha's father and instilled in the tree. And so you have this connection between Inyuasha and Minomaru from the beginning. And so, story gets an A+ from me.
Is it entertaining?
Is it entertaining? Well, it's very fast-paced. Although it did feel like a 2-hour movie, I was never bored. There's a lot of humor, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of battles. All of our characters have something to do in this movie. The side villains, Kari and Hari, I think their names are. I had to look them up later. Ruri, I think, because they weren't mentioned in the movie. Their names weren't mentioned. They give Sango and Moroku something to do, as well as entertaining battles for themselves. Ichigo, Inyuasha, and Kagome, they mirror what happened 50 years ago when Kagome gets possessed and she has to fight Inyuasha and thinks she kills him. And Kikyo shows up and kind of taunts her. She's like, you're not from this time. You can't be with Inyuasha and I can't be with Inyuasha because I'm dead. And she kind of forces Kikyo back to the present. And then, obviously Kikyo goes back to the past because her and her bond with Inyuasha, it transcends time, and she ends up back in the past. And they go fight the final battle together. I thought that moment was cute. I liked it. And at one point, all the characters get separated. Sango and Moroku get separated from Kagome and Inyuasha. And it's always a fun way it's always a fun time when you can separate your characters in different areas. And for a 2001 movie, it actually looks still beautiful. It looks really good for a 2001 movie. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Very fast-paced, very entertaining. I think it'll keep you engaged. So, thumbs up on the entertaining scale as well.
The battles.
Talking about the battles. Okay, so I just mentioned in entertaining how each battle was kind of different, or it gave all our characters something to do. Moroku fights one of the demons that can use duplication. She steals his wind tunnel by phasing through it and copying his ability. And so there's it gives Moroku a villain to fight. And the way that he takes her down is that they're both doing this wind tunnel battle. And she thinks she can beat Moroku, so she starts cutting her hand open with like this knife. And it basically like makes her wind tunnel stronger, but it also absorbs her into the wind tunnel she made and killing her. So it gives you a preview of what could happen to Moroku if he ever used the wind tunnel too much. So now it kind of like also it's like from the author like, hey, give Moroku a break. This is why he doesn't use the wind tunnel 24/7, because if he could, but if he does, he'll also risk absorbing himself into it. So I think it's really cool because you never see Moroku get absorbed in the series, and obviously you can't. But it's cool that you get to see that could happen. Also, she had another power where, well, I guess it's the same power where she can phase through people and like grab their heart and squeeze it. I thought that was cool. She only does that one time, but the power of duplication, the way she gets taken down, is already really cool. The next fight is Sango versus the other one who can use manipulation. First of all, shout out to Sango for not being taken out by her own Haraiko. There was so many times in Inyuasha, and I mentioned this in my Inyuasha review, where Sango shows up and her own weapon takes her out. She's like, Haraiko! And then the villain will throw it back at her. She'll just out the whole fight. Out of it. So it was cool that Sango actually was awake and didn't get knocked out this whole time, and her Haraiko took out the villain. Now, for Sango's villain, she had to fight Kalala, and this villain, because with the power of manipulation, she possesses Kagome, and she possesses Kalala, with these tomos, with like purple tomos or something like that. At first, Kagome can resist because of her natural power, but once they had a sacred jewel shard from Manomaru, Kagome falls under the spell, which will become relevant in a second. Kalala breaks out because she has a bond with Sango, so when Sango refuses to fight Kalala, she breaks out, and they take out the other villain together with Haraiko, which once again, thank you Sango for not being knocked out by your own weapon or being relevant in a movie. Now, we've already mentioned in Entertaining that Kagome got possessed by, she was possessed by manipulation, and Manomaru basically makes her go kill Inyuasha, but because Kagome loves Inyuasha, she kind of breaks out of it despite that, and she thinks she killed Inyuasha, but she didn't, but she did believe she did, and that's when Kikia shows up. But we already talked about that in Entertaining. And the final battle, Manomaru's form is kind of cool. I like that he's like this moth demon. He has like this giant form, and the Tree of Ages are like branches coming out of his back. I thought that was kind of cool. And the way they take him down is Kagome and Inyuasha have to team up. Like, she fires an arrow while he uses backslash wave or wind scar, I believe it was. And they take him down. Pretty cool fight, pretty cool ending. Another 2 thumbs up on that, so got to give that a really high score. All right, so where does Affections Across Time fit on our scale for Inyuasha? Is it Sesshomaru? Is it giving me Inyuasha? It's not giving me Sango. It's giving me either Inyuasha tier, meaning it's really good, like you have to watch it, or it's giving me Sesshomaru, like you're gonna love it. This has so much rewatchability. I'm gonna give it Sesshomaru tier, and the reason why is because, one, even though the main villain's plan is basic, it also directly involves Inyuasha, and it's not just like he found Inyuasha and he wants Inyuasha's power, kind of like in Bleach Hell arc, like he just kind of found Ichigo. This villain, Manomaru, is related to Inyuasha through his father, Hyoga. I like that the side characters have something to do. Sango didn't get knocked out by her own weapon. Like I said, that's number 1 for me. I like the Moroku. You got to see what happens if he uses wind tunnel too long and how it absorbs somebody into it that uses it. Kalala turning to the dark side temporarily was cool. I like that Kikyo was here for a relevant reason, not just like because she was in love with Inyuasha. I know that Inyuasha is a love story. I've already mentioned that. It's a giant love triangle, but they gave her something to do. I love Sesshomaru's first badass moment in the beginning of the movie, knocking out Riri and Hari, whatever those 2 villains' names were. So, yeah, we are going to go ahead and we are going to rank the first movie, Affections Across Time, Sesshomaru tier. I think this movie has a lot of rewatchability. I think even if you saw it once, you're going to want to watch it again, maybe yearly, maybe monthly, get your friends into it. If you want to get your friends into Inyuasha for the first time, I think this movie might be the way to do that. That's just my opinion. Where would you guys rank it? Either way, we're moving on to the next movie, and we'll be back here in a minute. Okay, guys, it's time for movie 2, The Castle Beyond the Looking Glass. So, what's the story? Naraku is dead. Can you believe it? They killed him in the very beginning of the movie. Or so they think. Because Moroku's wind tunnel is gone, and Kaguya, not to be confused with the main villain of the movie, Kagura no longer senses Naraku around. Well, what do we do now? That's basically what the group is contemplating with. But they don't have to worry about it for long because Kaguya, a new demon from a mirror dimension, is out for revenge. So what's Kaguya's deal? Well, she's supposed to be a celestial being that had her robe stolen while she was bathing in the hot springs by a monk. The monk stole the robes and Kaguya chased him back to his village, where he trapped her in a mirror and kept her locked there. And it's said that should Kaguya escape that mirror dimension, she will create a calamity that will destroy the world. And so this monk tasks down to his fellow monks, like, hey, if Kaguya, should the moon ever remain in the sky for multiple nights, burn this celestial robe, and basically it'll prevent Kaguya from getting her power back. So Kaguya can't technically do anything from the mirror dimension herself. She needs 5 sacred objects to escape the mirror dimension. And since she can't do it herself, she employs Kagura, which is why it's going to get confusing because they back to back. But she enlists Kagura's help, like, find these 5 objects, release me, and I'll grant your wish. So for story, that's pretty good. It's doesn't relate directly to our character as far as like Inyuasha having anything to do with this demon, or even Moroku. Moroku could have been the monk that stole the robes, but he's not. It was his great-grandfather, I believe, or grandfather. But our character still get involved because one of the items she needs is like, I think like a piece of Inyuasha's like robe or something like that. And yeah, overall the story was, I want to say, a little bit better, a little bit more unique than Inyuasha's first movie. But does that make it better? Let's talk about it.
Is it entertaining?
So the movie opens up with Inyuasha in his human form. He's with the black hair. It's like a new moon. He's hiding from Naraku. And Naraku's outside. He's fighting Kagome, Shippo, what's his name? Moroku, and Sango. And other characters are present too. You see glimpses of Shishomaru. You see glimpses of Kikyo. You see glimpses of Kagura and the Mirror Child. But it's basically them fighting Naraku. And, you know, at the very last... No, wait. They're fighting a random demon, actually. I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. They were fighting a random demon, but Naraku still shows up in the beginning, and they kill him, and they believe they do it. And as a fan that was watched the anime before this movie, I already knew they didn't kill Naraku, and of course you're not going to kill Naraku, the major villain in a movie off screen. But it was just like interesting. Maybe they would, and then like, you know, later in the anime, if you miss this movie, they could have been like, oh, well, hey, you go watch this movie to find out how like Naraku died off screen or on screen, off screen of the anime, but in the movie, and then like we brought him back later somehow, or one way or another, some kind of transition into the movie, you know, like because One Piece does it where like when One Piece does the movie, like there's like a mini clip in the episode for the movie where like you see a flash of the villains, or you see like a teaser for the villains, so it tells you like, hey, it's time to go watch that movie now, stuff like that. So they kill Naraku, and they're convinced that he's dead because Moroku, as I said, for the story part, Moroku, his wind tunnel's gone, Kagura can't sense him, and Inyuasha doesn't smell him, and so they're like, okay, he's dead. And that leads to like some slice of life moments where like the game's kind of relaxing. Like they're confused about what to do. Moroku's whole thing was like, he feels so incomplete without his wind tunnel. He even draws like this black marker paint on it. Sango is worried about her brother Kohaku because she's like, well, we defeated Naraku, but Kohaku's still in danger. Like, he still has a sacred drill shard in his neck, and without it, he can't survive. Inyuasha's just like, well, that was my whole goal, and now that he's dead, I don't know. And then Kagome's like, well, you know, now we defeated Naraku, like, yeah, I can still help you get the jewel shards, but, like, what's next after this? And, let me think. As far as entertaining, yeah, like, I like these little down moments, like seeing how the characters feel. Because it's like you finish the Inyuasha final act, and it's like, okay, yeah, they killed Naraku. So I know that there's like a Yashime anime, but I don't know if I'm gonna watch that. But it's curious to see how like our characters deal with like after they took out the big dad. And some other entertaining things. There is a scene that mirrors the scene with Kikyo and Inyuasha in the past, where like this time, instead of Inyuasha getting pinned to the tree and like dying, Kikyo leaps in the way to like try to save him. I forgot who shot him to the tree. I think it must have been, maybe it might have been Kagura or Kaguya. But either way, Kagome is the one that ends up pinned to the tree, and like she supposedly dies. We know she's not dead, but it's basically just so Kagome can get kidnapped. But I thought that was clever, like a little flip on the story. The bad part about this is like Sango and Moroku don't have much to do this time, whereas like in the first movie, like they had their own like enemies to fight. And this time they're just kind of like there for the ride. Shippu's there. I think Summer was just like a cameo. I don't think he does anything in this movie. I think he like taunts. This might be the one where he taunts Kikyo. I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, I think that was it. Entertaining wise, I like the slice of life moments. That was more different, especially seeing like, how the characters feel after they think they defeated Naraku. These characters' names are so similar. It's Kaguya, Moroku, Naraku, Kohaku, But yeah, as far as entertaining, it definitely felt like the downtime with the slice of life moments were pretty nice. Kagome and Inyuasha got like these little love moments, like little teasers, like where she's trying to give him like, she's like, hey, hold on to this locket. Because she took a picture of him and her and Inyuasha, and at first he says he doesn't want it, which kind of makes her mad. But it comes into play later. But I thought those moments were really cute. Other than that, for entertainment, I think that's it. We'll talk more about the battles next.
The battles.
Talking about the battles. There's a lot of fights in here. Not as entertaining as the first movie or personal, but still somewhat entertaining. As I said, like the beginning battle, they fight a random demon and then they fight Naraku and kill Naraku, which was pretty entertaining. There's also a mid-early battle between Inyuasha and Kagura. It's very short, maybe like 2-3 minutes long, but it was entertaining enough. After that fight, we get some interactions between Inyuasha versus Kaguya herself, and basically when Inyuasha tries to attack her with, I think it's the wind scar, she uses her mirror to reflect the attack back at him with like twice the power, which was pretty entertaining. Other battles happen later is like against a Hydra monster, and this is where Kikyo has like her one moment in the movie. She lets up her bow and arrow and like basically like they're fighting in the water, and she like fires her arrow and it slices like the waves apart, or maybe Inyuasha did that part. But anyways, either way, like their combined attack, Kikyo and Inyuasha's attack destroys the Hydra, and then Kaguya uses another one of her abilities to freeze time. And this is where what I said, like when Kagome gave Inyuasha that locket comes back into play. The locket kind of protects him as well as these various other things that Kagome brought from her hometown. Because we all know Kagome has like a secret power. I forgot what it was in the anime. I know it's like in Naruto, not Naruto, in Inyuasha, the last act, or final act. But I kind of forgot it. But, Kagome's special power basically protects all her friends from being frozen in time. And so Kaguya's motivation is like, okay, now I wasn't going to hold you prisoner, but now I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat you alive. And we're going to get into that in the villain part about like who Kaguya is supposedly. And so, at first everybody's teaming up against her. Shippo, Moroku, Sango, Inyuasha, and Kikyo, and Kagome, who's trying to break out of her hold. And she does, and Kaguya kind of takes them all down easily. One, because Moroku doesn't have his wind tunnel. Sango just gets knocked out again, of course, because like I said, she was only relevant in that first movie for being powerful. But at some point, she uses her mirror ability to basically like bring out Inyuasha's inner demon. Like it reflects like she feels like his good side of him. Well, I guess I should explain how she did this. So she gets the celestial robe, which is what she's been after, and it kind of amplifies her powers. So she seals Inyuasha's good side of him inside the mirror, and Inyuasha's demon side comes out. And he's attacking his friends and stuff like that. And Kagome, she stops him like she does in the anime. She hugs Inyuasha, but she says in the movie, I love you. I love you, Inyuasha. I love you the way you are. I don't want you to change. Now, I don't know if this is like Naruto, where when Hinata showed up in the fight with Pain and told Naruto that she loved him, Naruto forgot. Or maybe Inyuasha forgot, because I know at some point Inyuasha does I think he does tell Kagome he loves her too, but he's also still in love with Kikyo. He hasn't let go of those feelings because like they never properly got to like say goodbye or separate. And I know they shared a kiss in the anime. I remember that scene, and Kagome was angry about it, but she had a right to be and no right to be at the same time. That's another conversation entirely. But Kagome brings him back because she tells him she loves him and stuff like that. And they have their bond that brings Inyuasha back to normal. And so when they go to take down Kaguya again, that's when Naraku shows up. Surprise, surprise, Naraku's alive. It's now a battle royale. Naraku trying to kill Kaguya to take control of her body. Kaguya trying to kill everybody. And then, Inyuasha, Shippo, Kagome, and Sango trying to kill both of them. And they do. Kikyo, I want to keep calling Kagome Kikyo. Kagome fires an arrow at Kaguya's mirror, which shatters it, and then Inyuasha uses a backside wave to destroy her, and then as she's like evaporating in the smoke, Naraku tries to eat her, but he's taken down by Inyuasha as well as Moroku, who absorbs him inside of his wind tunnel, which has returned because Naraku's alive and made his presence known. As far as battles, I still think the first movie did the battles better. These battles are entertaining. I like Kaguya's power set, like freezing time, as well as like reflecting the powers back at him and bringing out like the inner darkness inside of you. But I do think the first movie handled the battles better, and that's pretty much all I have to say about the battles. We've seen Naraku get his ass whooped and all his clones a bunch of times, so Naraku's nothing to write home about, basically. All right, so we'll move on to the villain. Just talk about the villain, and we'll wrap it up. So where do I think Inyuasha, through the Castle Through the Looking Glass, belongs on our tier list? Well, I like Kaguya's final design. I think her power set is interesting. I think the slice of life moments are great. I also forgot to mention there are poems throughout the movie that are related to the sacred objects that she's looking for, and they relate to her as well in her backstory. But I just feel like the first movie was stronger. One, it gave our other characters more things to do. Sango had a personal villain to fight. Moroku had a personal villain to fight. Inyuasha was related to the demon through their fathers. Whereas this movie, it's more like this is one of those moments where I'm like, the villain's after you because it's convenient for them. You have a sacred object they need, and obviously, like if they escape, they'll create calamity, and you can't have your world be destroyed. So for those reasons, I gotta say, Castle Through the Looking Glass, you're probably Inyuasha tier, which is not bad. So Sumro tier means you love it. There's so much rewatchability. Watch it all the time. Get your friends into it. And Inyuasha tier is like, hey, you're a fan. You love this movie. Check it out. Like, you might watch it once just because you enjoy it. You might watch it one or two times, but it's not going to be as strong as the first movie, in my opinion. Although, like I said, I love the poems. I like the slice of life moments. We already knew Naraku wasn't dead, and Naraku's come back a bunch of times. I feel like some characters were in here just because, like Sesshomaru didn't do anything in this movie, but he was in the beginning. And Kikyo's in this movie as well, where she fires the arrow once. But Kikyo had more relevance in the first movie than she did in this one. Like, I don't remember Kikyo doing anything besides, like, shooting the arrow one time. She gave a goblet, one of the sacred items, to Kagura. And that's it. That's the most Kikyo had to do with his movies. And I understand why she's in it, but yeah, for that reason, I'm gonna put that movie as Inyuasha tier. Definitely for fans to watch, but I just don't think it's stronger than the first movie. Just my opinion. Feel free to comment below what you guys think or how you would change it around. We got 2 more movies to go, so we'll see how the rest of it goes. All right, guys, it's time to review the 3rd Inyuasha movie, Zords of an Honorable Ruler. So, what's the story of this one? Well, hang on to your seatbelts because this is my favorite one. This one is probably better than Affections Across Time. It's definitely better than Castle Beyond the Looking Glass, but we're going to get into all that right now. So the story opens up with Lord Tekamaru. He is in love with Inyuasha's mother, Izayoi. I believe that's how you said her name. Anyways, he's in love with her, but he knows that she's in love with the demon. She slept with the demon and she's having this demon's baby. The demon turns out to be Inyuasha's father, Toga, of course. And Sashomaru's father, Toga. And so he tries to give this woman an abortion, like old school abortion. Like he stabs her through with a spear and he thinks he killed her and the baby. Or I think he killed the baby. But of course she survived. And, Toga shows up and he's like, hey, where's my wife? And Tekamaru's like, you're not going to get her. So he cuts off. They have like a short little battle. He cuts off Tekamaru's arm and he races inside. And Tekamaru's like, okay, they want to be together. They can die together. He's like, burn everybody alive. So because they're in this village. And so they set this mansion on fire. And Toga goes in there to see his wife. First of all, Inyuasha's dad looks dope. He looks amazing. I love his design. I think he looks cool. He does give, before Toga went to save his love, Inyuasha's mother, he does give, like, Sashomaru this speech, because Sashomaru wants to fight him. His father was dying at the time because his father had just got into a fight against a powerful demon. I know the name was said in the anime, I'm forgetting it now, but anyways, his father was dying, but he didn't have time to fight Sashomaru, and plus, he was like, Sashomaru, if you want real power, you have to have something to protect. And Sashomaru was like, that's foolish, that's weak talk. And his father flies off and goes to save his love of his wife, Izayoi. Anyways, so as he's in there talking to Izayoi, Toga realizes that she's alive and she's had the baby. At this time, as I mentioned on the fire, Tekamaru comes in. He's like, okay, we're always going to die together. Like you, me, her. I love her. You stole her from me. We're all going to die. Well, Toga's like, Izayoi, escape. Live with Inyuasha. Live a good life. Don't worry about me. Don't look back. I'm already going to die. I will handle this here. But before she leaves and runs off, he names his son Inyuasha. And, I thought that was really cool. I like that his father is the one that named his son before he died. I thought that was cool. And then we are introduced to the new villain. The new villain is a demonic Zord called the Soanga. And so the Soanga is one of the 3 Zords of Calamity. Or the 3 Zords of, what is it? I have it in my notes. The 3 Zords of Conquest. That's right, the 3 Zords of Conquest. So one of the Zords is, let's start with the one we all know and we're familiar with, the Tetsaiga, the Tetsaiga of men. It can fell 100 men, like it can defeat 100 men easily. Then you have Sashomaru's blade given to him by his father, the Tensaiga, which is the Zord of Heavens, which can save 100 souls, which we've seen that in the anime. I remember that from the anime, so I'm glad I finished the anime before I watched the movies because I understand that. And last, the Soanga of Hades, which can unleash 100 souls of the dead. So I like that all 3 of these Zords all can do something, heaven, earth, and hell, and they all can like bring something back or defeat 100 people or something like that. So I thought that was cool. And the other great thing about the story is it relates to our main character. It's not like Castle Beyond the Looking Glass where it was just a convenience that Inyuasha had like this robe and he happened to be there. This movie, Inyuasha is related to the villain because the villain hated his father. Well, the Zord, there's 2 villains. The villain, the Zord Soanga is Inyuasha's father's blade, and it's looking for a new host, new master. And then you have Tekamaru, who's arrived later, who hates Toga as well as Inyuasha because he believes that they stole Izayoi from him. And so the Zord initially tries taking like Inyuasha over because here's the thing. So we all know Toga, Inyuasha's dad, the great dog demon, was like really powerful, and he's a full demon. So the Zord kind of was suppressed by Toga's willpower. But if a human gets hold of Sawanga, the Zord of the underworld, they can be like succumb to like darkness and dark thoughts. And because Inyuasha is a half human / half demon, when the Sawanga arrives in like the present day and it tries to release itself, Inyuasha grabs it, and his human side is being possessed, like being like pulled by the darkness to like, hey, I want you to kill 100 people. I want you to spill as much blood as possible. Whereas his demonic side is like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm stronger than you. But because Inyuasha fears that he'll hurt his friends, he's like, hey, I'm going to go back into the past. I'm going back to the feudal era, and I'm going to like find a way to dispose of the Zord. So as he does that, Inyuasha immediately attacks his friends in the past that are waiting outside the well, like Morocco, Sango, Shippo, and whatever that Mayoga,
This guy right here.
Anyways, so Inyuasha attacks them, but they realize something's wrong with Inyuasha. Like, this isn't how Inyuasha acts. And they follow Inyuasha to this village, and in this village, the demon doors like kill everybody here. And Inyuasha like telling everybody to escape. All like his hand is moving against his will because his hand has a Sawanga. His hand is being controlled by the Sawanga. It's like attached itself to his arm, and so. At one point, Inyuasha corners this mother and son, or like this brother and sister, and the Zord's telling him to kill him. He's like, spill the blood. And Inyuasha closes his eyes, like, no. And he's missing the whole time. And the Swanga's like, why can't I control him? Like, you're a half human, you're a half demon. And Inyuasha's like, oh, well, humans are stubborn. We don't like being told what to do. But also, like I said, he has his own demonic side. The humans escape, and Inyuasha does destroy the village, but by that point, everybody had escaped. And wrapping up more to like the synopsis of the story, eventually Kagome uses her hidden power. She basically tells Inyuasha to sit, but it's like her hidden power over Inyuasha. It shatters the hold that the Sawanga had on Inyuasha, and the Zord flies off looking for a new master, and it finds that new master in Tekamaru. And the way it does that is because the Zord can bring back 100 souls from the dead. It can bring back 100 souls of people it's slain. Anybody the Zord slain can be brought back from the dead. So it brings back Tekamaru, who was slain by Inyuasha's father Toga, however many years ago that was. And Tekamaru, it convinces him, because Tekamaru was human, like, hey, Toga's dead, but his sons are alive, Inyuasha and Shishomaru. I want you to kill them, and I want you to destroy the Tetsaiga and the Tensaiga, which are the only weapons that can destroy the Sawanga, which he doesn't know that yet. So as far as story, this is way better than the Castle Through the Looking Glass. Even though they said Kaguya could cause a calamity, aside from her power to reflect and bring out darkness in people, which is really powerful, I don't really see that as much as a calamity. Maybe her power to like stop time, yes, but because we didn't see that many people frozen in time, because all of Inyuasha's friends are like immune to, or all of Kagome's friends are immune to that because of Kagome's hidden power. We didn't get to see like many people frozen in time that had to protect. But in the first movie with the Mothman guy, I forget his name. I think it was Motomaru or something like that. Metomaru, whatever. These two villains, Metomaru and Sawanga / Tekamaru, they feel like genuine threats. They feel like they could cause a calamity. So for that, I'm definitely gonna say this movie is already ranking high on my tier list already.
Is it entertaining?
Wise, yes. Like I said in my story, I love that we get to see Inyuasha's father. His design, he looks great. I like seeing Inyuasha's mother. I don't even think I've ever saw Inyuasha's mother before, Izayoi. And also, there's some funny gags. Like in the beginning of the movie, Kikyo's playing volleyball with her friends in school, and as they're serving the ball back to Kagome, Inyuasha thinks it's a attack. So he grabs the ball with quick speed, he destroys it, and it's played for humor. It's really funny. I like that Shishomaru was relevant in this movie. Shishomaru was in the first two movies, but like he didn't really do anything. He was just kind of like present there, and this time, he's given something to do. Speaking of Inyuasha's mother, before I forget, there is a scene that kind of mirrors Naruto when, how like Naruto's alone on the swing set. Inyuasha was trying to play with like other human kids, and I think they knew he was a half demon because, I mean, obviously demons exist in this time period, so they knew Inyuasha was probably a half demon, and they didn't want to play with him. And so there's this like little sad moment where like baby and like kid Inyuasha walks up to his mother, she's crying, but you know that she loves him because she embraces him like without hesitation. And then we're brought back in the present day from that flashback, and the frog Mayoga is talking to the others. He's like, they're at like a human grave site where Inyuasha's mother's grave is, and they're like talking. And at some point, someone says like, "Who put these great flowers here? They look fresh." And Miyoga says like, "Oh, it's Inyuasha." And I thought it was really cute that like Inyuasha delivers flowers to his family. And someone comments on like, "Is it weird that a demon cares to do something like that?" And I think it's Kagome that defends him like, "Well, you know, Inyuasha's half human, so he has that sweetness, he has that care, that love inside of his heart." Some other things. I got notes, but I'm trying to go brush off my head. It's different, like when we're reviewing an anime, like I just go based on my thoughts, but like a movie, I'm trying to break down in each section, so I have my notes. Some other things that happened. Oh, Inyuasha, the reason why his mother's relevant in this movie, because he never met his father. Shishomaru knows his father, and we know that Shishomaru knows his mother because at one point when I think Shishomaru in the anime goes to his mother to try to save Ren's life because Ren had died or something like that. And he was trying to use the Tensaiga, the Blade of Heavens, to like save her. His mother was like, "Oh, well, if you go in there, you can't. You're gonna just trap yourself too. Just let the human go. She's a human girl. Why does it matter?" And Shishomaru did. So we know who Shishomaru's mother is, and we also knew that Shishomaru knew his father Toga, but Inyuasha never knew him. And in the end, you know, spoilers obviously for this whole video, in the end, Inyuasha does get to see his father for the first time ever, and he has like a really sweet message to his son, and well, to both of his sons, to Shishomaru and Inyuasha. And it's just like this really cute little message like, hey, you guys work together, you did exactly what I want you to do, use the Tensaiga, use the Tensaiga together, and that's how they're strongest, that's why I gave you two different blades. Oh, speaking of that, how Shishomaru got the Tensaiga is really funny. The guy that makes the Zords, he was too afraid to give it to Shishomaru directly, so he hung it up on a tree with a sign like, "Here you go." I thought that was really funny. Just a really cute little quick joke. Some other impressive thing. Oh, some other great things are there's a moment with like Ren, the human girl that travels with Shishomaru. She and Kagome have like these really cute moments, and at one point they get captured because of course Kagome gets captured every movie so far. She probably gets captured in the fourth one. I don't remember, but she probably does. Anyways, Kagome tries to fight Tekamaru after she gets captured because he mistakes her for Izayue. Or that's how like the demon Zord Sawanga plays with him. He's like, "Oh hey, she looks like Izayue, and you know if you kill her, it'll anger." Think about how that'll anger Inyuasha. It's just like how it's mirroring the love triangle between Kikyo, Kagome, Inyuasha, or I guess it'd be Kikyo, Kagome, Inyuasha. It's like Izayue, Tekamaru, and Toga. Love triangle, and I thought that was cool. And but Izayue kind of like Tekamaru kind of ignores Sawanga about killing her at one point. But anyways, Ren tries to like block Kagome, like protect her. I thought it was really cute. And then Shishomaru shows up and he like obviously stops her because he cares about Ren, he cares about Jock, and he cares about his horse, but he just doesn't want to accept that he cares. Shishomaru is trying to be like this badass. He's like, "I'm too badass for shit like that." Yeah, entertaining wise, very, very good, very good. I enjoyed those moments. Let me see if I'm missing anything from my notes. No, I think I talked about everything I wanted to about the entertaining part. So yeah, I enjoyed that part. We'll move on to the battles, and then we'll get to the villains, and we'll wrap it up.
The battles.
So we're talking about the battles for this movie. One of the most important battles is Inyuasha's internal battle with Sawanga. Sawanga's trying to manipulate his human side, whereas Inyuasha is trying to like keep control because of his demon side. And even though his demon side should be bad, it's like Inyuasha who he is. And so there's a lot of internal battle between Inyuasha and him and the Zord itself trying to control him. So that's one of the major battles to remember. Like the Zord wants to manipulate the hearts of men so we can just destroy everything. And Inyuasha's like, "No, I only do what I do what I want." Some other battles are Inyuasha and Sesshomaru fight twice in this movie. The first time and both fights are very entertaining. Let me just put it that way. But the first fight, Sesshomaru loses, and I think it's because Inyuasha has the Suwanga. I think that's the reason why. Because Suwanga, the Suwanga by itself is supposed to be stronger than the Tetsaiga or the Tensaiga when they're fighting separately. But it's also supposed to be weaker whenever like it's fighting, or whenever the presence of both Zords are in the same, or whenever both Zords are present in the same area. And so I don't think Inyuasha ever dropped this Tetsaiga. Maybe he did. Because that's the only way that would make sense, because in the end that's how they weaken the Zord in the final battle. But I'd have to rewatch the scene just to make sure. So I'll have to rewatch it. We're going to say that Inyuasha at the time only had the Suwanga and not the Tetsaiga. Because if he had the Tetsaiga, that'd be difficult to say why he beat Sesshomaru, because the Suwanga is weak whenever both Zords are present. So I'm going to assume that Inyuasha didn't have the Zord, which would make sense narratively anyway, but I just don't remember off the top of my head. I don't have that in my notes. The second battle, they do have Sesshomaru does win with his Dragon Strike. But he was hoping to kill Inyuasha with that, but of course he didn't. And I believe I'm going to bring up something in a second about why I think that actually didn't work. But just know, like, he was planning to kill Inyuasha in the second fight, but he just ended up defeating him. Let's see. The other battles are... So, unlike before in the first movie where, like, Moroku had the duplication demon to fight, Sango had the manipulation demon to fight, and this time, everybody kind of fights like these cannon fodder demons. So, like I said, the Suwanga is the demon, is the Zord of Hell. So it can release the souls like 100 demons that's 100 demons or people that have been slain by its blade. So Tekamaru uses that to like bring back like these 100 soldiers that died at the hands of Toga's blade, and then like they're fighting Inyuasha in the group, and it's kind of just like a cannon fodder enemy. Like, we need Moroku, Sango, and Shippo, and Kikyo to have something to do. And Sesshomaru and Inyuasha do fight against them as well, which was entertaining. But like I said, they're just cannon fodder demons. Let me see my notes for other battles that I had written down. No, I think that's all the battles I wrote. But I'll double check before we get into the villains. Nope. Yep, so in the final battle... we can talk about the final battle now. I like that Inyuasha and Sesshomaru don't necessarily team up. They just happen to attack at the same time. And what I mean by that is, during the second fight, Sesshomaru was remembering what his father said to him, like, demons are strongest when they have something to protect. And Sesshomaru is just putting that in the back of his head. Like, he remembers it, but it's not clicking yet. And at one point, Sesshomaru is in a fight with Tekamaru by himself in the Zord Suwanga. And he does take Tekamaru down, but doesn't kill him. And that's because you can only destroy Suwanga with the Tetsaiga and the Tensaiga together. Like, they have to attack together in unison. And there's some funny gags about that too, like in the final battle, as they're fighting. Well, before we get to the final battle, because they don't defeat Tekamaru. Tekamaru kind of like just like finds peace within himself. So before we get to the final battle, this is all still in the final act, like the final war act. Tekamaru and Inyuasha are fighting, and they're like struggling against each other. But Inyuasha overpowers Tekamaru, and Tekamaru's confused. He's like, how are you doing this? You're a half demon. You shouldn't have this kind of power. And even if you were just a demon, demons don't have this kind of power. And Inyuasha starts going on about, like, you know, humans, when they have something to protect, like, we get exponentially stronger. He's thinking about Sango. He's thinking about Moroku. He's thinking about Kikyo, Shippo, the Zordsman dude, the like a little grasshopper Mayoga. He's thinking about all the people he has to protect, and that's when it clicks inside of Sesshomaru's head, thinking about what his father said, like, because he's seeing Inyuasha overpower the Suwanga and Tekamaru. And it also hits Tekamaru when he realizes, like, hey, Izoya, how did I say her name? Izoya? Inyuasha's mother, she might not have loved me, but she did care about me. She wasn't telling me to like flee the village because she wanted to be alone with Toga. She was like, hey, I don't want to hurt you. I care about you. You guys are my friends. And he realized like, he's like, you know what? I'll always love you regardless. Like, you might not love me, but I always love you. You cared about me to an extent. Maybe not in the way that you care about Toga, but you still cared about me. So he passes on. And I thought it was really cool. I like, because, you know, like usually Inyuasha defeats the demons. He defeated Kayuga. He defeated Metoromaru. The villain from the first movie, I can't remember his name. I think it's Metoromaru. The Mothman. And so I like that he didn't defeat Tekamaru, because Tekamaru was kind of manipulated by Suanga. So it'd be kind of messed up if Inyuasha did defeat him, and then he dies and realizes it. So I like that Tekamaru like kind of just passed over, and Inyuasha thinks the battle's over. He's like, oh look, we killed Tekamaru. Suanga doesn't have a host to use anymore, so the battle's over. And that's when Sesshomaru was like, look, the battle's not over. And the Zord gets its own form. I'm trying to remember like how, I don't know if it grew its own body or like it was, because I know they said that the Zord used to be a demon or something like that, or it's possessed by a great demon. So maybe the Zord took on a form of the monster that it used to be or something like that. But it's a headless demon, and it's just like a suit of armor that has a Zord attached to it. And anyways, so this is now the final battle. Sesshomaru is attacking from one side, and Inyuasha attacking from another side, but they're not attacking at the same time. Kind of like that One Piece movie where, remember, like, you attack it from the dream world, but you also attack it from the human world in the exact same position. Otherwise, you're not doing anything. And it's kind of like that. So Kagome's like, Inyuasha, Sesshomaru, you have to team up. You have to fight them together. And you have Jiken, the little demon that travels with Sesshomaru, like, no, don't team up with them. They're losers. Fuck them. I thought it was really funny. But ultimately, like I said, they team up by accident because while Inyuasha's thinking about his friends who he has to protect, Sesshomaru, he thinks about Ren and Jiken and his horse, but he's like, I have nothing to protect. And he just attacks at the same time. He attacks at the same time as Inyuasha, and it destroys the creature, ending the battle. And kind of the movie kind of just kind of ends there. Like, I mean, we go back to like that. Well, that's when we meet Inyuasha's father and Sesshomaru's father. He gives him like a little speech, but I thought it was very cool. Which I thought was very cool. I already mentioned that, I think, in entertaining, but that's when Inyuasha's father shows up, and Sesshomaru's father, he talks to him. He's like, hey, you guys have done what I wanted you to do. I have nothing more to teach you. And I think this is what makes Sesshomaru want to keep the Tensaiga, because at first he didn't, the Tensaiga, because at first he didn't want the Tensaiga because he's like, why'd you give me a weaker Zord than Inyuasha? I deserve the Tensaiga, or I deserve the Suanga. I'm a full demon, and I'm stronger than Inyuasha. Whereas this time he's like, I'm gonna keep this. This is my blade now. And Inyuasha's happy to just have seen his father. So yeah, those are the battles. The battles were way more entertaining. I want to say, as far as battles, I think the first movie, Affections Across Time, the battles aren't better, just slightly up, just because it gave Sango and Morocco like personal demons to fight, as well as personal goals and personal motivations in the war. Whereas this time they just had cannon fodder. But I'm still giving it a high rank, just because we got to see Inyuasha's dad, just because we got to see Inyuasha's mother, just because we got some of Inyuasha's mother's backstory, and plus it's a Sesshomaru movie. So even though I do think Affections Across Time's battles are better, this movie is still going to go ahead of that. Oh, I should have said that after the conclusion. I'll repeat it anyway. Alright, so talking about the villains. The Blade Suanga, I liked its description, like it being the blade of hell, Tensaiga being the blade of heaven, or Tensaiga being the blade of heaven, and then Tensaiga being the blade of men. I thought that was unique for each character, as well as each sword. And then like they all can bring back, like the Suanga can bring back 100 demons from hell. The Tensaiga can fell 100 men, and the Tensaiga can save 100 souls. Basically, like send them to heaven or something, or bring back to life, heal them. Its motivations for just wanting to like cause destruction and mayhem is pretty basic, but the way it goes about it was unique, like manipulating the hearts of man, especially like because humans. The reason why I also think this villain, the Zord being a villain, is just kind of a good thing is because like humans, we're also acceptable to like manipulation. Like we have these dark thoughts, we have this envy, we have this jealousy, we have this like rage in us. So if we had the power of this Zord manipulating those emotions, we could all be capable of it. And so I thought that was cool. Tekamaru being another antagonist, or like the second, because I consider Tekamaru like a different antagonist than the Zord entirely. Tekamaru's jealousy, it's fitting because, like I said, it's human. We get jealous. We want the same girl as somebody else, or we want the same guy as somebody else, and maybe somebody else gets it, and we're kind of jealous of that. And jealousy can make you do a lot of crazy things. We've seen that from humans all the time. Do I have any other notes about the villains? Yeah, nothing. I've already mentioned that it's a love triangle, so I don't think I need to bring that up again. Like the love triangle is basically like I said, if it's Inyuasha at the top, it's Kagome and Kikyo down here. If it's Zayo at the top, it's Tekamaru and Toga down here. Although she only loved one of them, so I'm not really sure how that would count as a love triangle. But I mean, she cared about him to an extent, so he could have mistaken it for love. But yeah, I think this movie was excellent, and we're gonna go rate it right now, see where it fits on the ranking system. All right, so where does Inyuasha, Zords of an Honorable Ruler, fit on our ranking system? Well, I kind of already spoiled it early in the review. I definitely think this movie is Sesshomaru tier. And I'm gonna say it's even better than Effects of Charles Time, just hands down. It's a must watch. It's a watch it multiple times. One, because Inyuasha's dad looks really cool. He's really badass. His Dragon Twister move is fucking powerful. Inyuasha's mother is really great. I don't think I've ever seen much of her before, or at least in the anime. Although I've only seen Inyuasha one time all the way through, so maybe if I rewatch it again, I'll remember. I like the little Naruto backstory, how other kids didn't want to play with Inyuasha. It's very sad, but I feel like it's very fitting with him being a half demon and humans knowing about demons and demons killing humans. It's a Sesshomaru movie. Sesshomaru has relevance. I think Sesshomaru looks awesome. I think Sesshomaru is cool. I'm a huge Sesshomaru stan. If you see my Inyuasha review, you know I love Sesshomaru. I do think it's weaker as far as like some of the battles. Like I said, Sango, Morocco, since the past two movies, they haven't had since the second movie, they haven't had. Yeah, the past two movies, they haven't had nothing to do. They're just kind of there. But at least like the cannon fodder army gave them more to do than like just waiting around for Naraku and Kaguya to come near them so they can attack or get knocked down like Sango did. She does get knocked down in this movie again because that Sango, she's just known for getting knocked down by her own weapon or powers or other demons. But at least like it was just cannon fodder. So, I don't think she fell down too bad. But yeah, excellent movie. Definitely Sesshomaru tier. Just so you guys remember, Sesshomaru tier is a must watch. Inyuasha tier is a watch it if you're a fan. I'm sorry. Messed up. Sesshomaru is a must watch. Inyuasha is I loved it. Kagome tier is I liked it. Kagome is supposed to be above. Kikyo, oh my god, I am fucking this up today. Kikyo tier is a watch it if you're a fan, which means like, it's okay. Watch it if you're a fan. Sango tier is like, watch it if you're bored. You ain't got nothing else to do. And Naraku tier means it's dog shit. Like, don't even bother. Don't even worry about it. You never have to watch it ever. I don't think any of the Inyuasha movies are Naraku tier, but we'll find out when we're done. So that's all for now, guys. On to the last movie. Let's go. Okay, guys. This one took me by surprise. I did not expect to like this one. I did not expect to like this one as much as like the third movie. So let's talk about it. Fire on the Mystic Island. Where do we start? Okay, so 50 years ago, Ichigo and Kikyo came to this island called Hiyori Island. It's like a disappearing island that shows up every 50 years or something, right? And on this island, they meet 6 half-demon children who are trapped there because of these 4 war gods. These 4 war gods, like, clawed their back. And so, like, if you have this mark on your back, you can't leave. Or at least that's what they think. Like, you can't leave this island because even if you leave... And the reason I say you think you can't leave because... Inyuasha and Kikyo and Shishomaru, who's on the island. I gotta mention that too, because Shishomaru was there. They just didn't know Shishomaru was there, which also makes this a high class movie. I know we team Shishomaru over here. Anyways, they left the island, but the kids can't. And so I thought that was like interesting. But they say like if you do leave the island, it finds a way to lure you back, which might be true because 50 years later in the present, Inyuasha and his friends Moroku, Sango, Shippo, and Sesshomaru are brought back to this. They're lured back to this island once it reappears 50 years later. So, I'm gonna look at my notes real fast. So yeah, the kids on this island have been led to believe like every 50 years they have to make a sacrifice to the, I think it's called the Cauldron of Resonance. It's like this fiery like pit or fiery tomb where like they used to, it like, I forgot how it was powered, but basically the way the war gods have convinced these 6 half demon children is like, oh, every 50 years, one of your people had to go make a sacrifice to us and to the cauldron, and wait, why are they doing that? Oh yeah, I guess to appease the war gods. I guess that's why. But also the kids have been led to believe that like everybody that died, it became like a firefly. There was like a bunch of fireflies around this island, and so every time someone's gone into the cauldron, they turn into a firefly. Well, while that's true, it's also feeding the 4 war gods their power, because it turned out that some time ago, and mind you, this is where it gets kind of really fucked up, because we can assume these half-demon children have been on this island for years, because I mentioned like the village that they're from is empty. Like, well, Inyuasha mentioned that the island, the village that's on this island is empty, and it turns out that like a long time ago, Hiyori Island was home for like humans and demons that lived together peacefully, so peacefully that they even started having relationships, like interspecies relationships. That's how we got half demons. And do you remember that flashback from what was the movie called? Zords of an Honorable Ruler, when I said that, Inyuasha had like that Naruto flashback where like he's like a half demon trying to play with humans and the humans are shunning him and his mom like loves him and cares for him. This movie carries on that, because the reason why Hiyori Island disappears all the time is because these humans, demons, and their half demon children were like basically shunned from the rest of the world. The rest of the world was like, y'all are weird. You're sleeping with demons. Demons kill people. Demons are evil. And so it basically became a sanctuary for them. Like this island was their home. It was their sanctuary. So they passed a spell over it to make it disappear every 50 years. At some point during those 50 years, the 4 war gods showed up among other demons, and they started attacking the villagers just because they hated them, because demons, that's what demons do. Well, at the time that they 4 war gods attacked, there was this priestess called Lady Kanade, and she sealed like their 4 spears of power, basically like their main source of power, into the cauldron at the cost of her life. She died to seal their power. So not only are the children stuck on the island, the 4 war gods have been stuck on this island. And because we know that it used to be filled with a bunch of humans, the war gods are like, oh yeah, we'll leave after you keep sacrificing yourselves. And so that's what they've been doing for years. So you can just assume they've been there for like centuries, possibly even over a millennium, just every 50 years sacrificing themselves. Every time the island shows up, every 50 years they sacrifice themselves. And I thought that was crazy. I was like, whoa, dude, that's insane. And even if the kids wanted to start questioning it, they made this fake priestess. We'll get into that in the entertaining section. But they made this fake priestess who also convinced them, like, hey, trust me, this is real. You guys go sacrifice yourselves to this cauldron. The demon gods will one day leave you guys alone. And is that all from the story? I believe so. But, Inyuasha, Kikyo, Kagome, and Moroku all figure out there's some kind of barrier keeping these kids here. It's not... They don't have to sacrifice themselves to these demon gods. These demon gods have been tricking them this whole time. Make sure that's the last of my notes. Yes, I believe that's it. So, as far as story-wise, guys, this one, as I said before, like when a story is like your character is relevant to it. Like, he's not just showing up. Like okay, the first movie, Inyuasha's father had killed Monomaru, the moth demon guy's dad, sealed his power in a tree. He needed Inyuasha to break that tree. He needed the Fang of Destruction, which was the Tetsaiga. Inyuasha needed to be there. Zords of an Honorable Ruler, the Soanga was Inyuasha's dad Zord, and it was out of control, and Inyuasha felt like it was his obligation to destroy it, but he also needed Sesshomaru there to defeat it, because only the Tetsaiga and the Tensaiga can destroy the Soanga. So again, these characters need to be there. Castle Oblivion, it was just a convenience for them. Like, she just needed Inyuasha's, like, what's it called? The cloak of the fire rat or something like that. Whatever he's wearing, she needed that. And so Inyuasha, I mean, of course, she can destroy the planet too, but that means anybody could stop her. So as I'm saying, like, when a story involves your characters, and the way it involves these characters is Inyuasha was already marked 50 years ago, so was Kikyo, so was Sesshomaru. So they were going to show up back here anyway. And they wanted to save these demon children. They have a connection to these demon children. And one con that I'll say for the story is, the way it presents itself, it's like they met these kids for like 2 seconds, and then the war god showed up and marked them, and then they escaped, or the island disappeared. And so I didn't really get like this strong connection where, like, the first kid, Ai, calls Inyuasha brother, because I was like, the way it's presented, you guys just met for like 30 seconds. Now, it could have been longer. Sorry about that. I had to fix that. But it could have been longer, but the way it's presented is that they just met for a second. But either way, I still like it, because we know Inyuasha's a good guy. We know Kikyo's a good woman. We know Sesshomaru, even though Pretentious doesn't care, he cares. And so I think it's dope that, like, they went there, but they went back to save those children. But it's still good, because it gives your character a reason to be there, rather than like them just being there out of convenience. So for story, 10 out of 10 for me. Well, that's a little high, because Zords of an Honorable Ruler is 10 out of 10, because Sesshomaru was relevant, Inyuasha was relevant, and Inyuasha and Sesshomaru are relevant here. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 too, but Zords of an Honorable Ruler is still my number one. But we'll see where it ends up in the final rank anyway. So let's move on to entertaining now.
Is it entertaining?
So when the story opens up, we meet the 6 demon children, and they seem like they're bowing towards the princess, the fake priestess, not princess, the fake priestess, which turns out to be a replica of Kikyo. Now, how this came to be is later explained in the halfway through the movie. Like, apparently there was a battle when Inyuasha and Kikyo first came to the island, and they got scratched. They got some of Kikyo's blood, and because she's a priestess similar to Lady Kanade that sealed their spears of power in the first place, they kept her as like a way to trick these children into like sacrificing themselves, so eventually they could get their power back. Why they didn't just use the fake priestess at the time to release the power, I don't know. That's unexplained. Doesn't matter. But that is just something I noticed. Like, they had the fake priestess. They had the fake Kikyo the whole time, who could open. Oh, well, they couldn't go in there and get the spears. That's right. That's why. That's right. Never mind. I already figured it out. So let's explain this all in order. So yeah, we meet these six half demon children. 5 of them have been marked, but the 6th one, the youngest one, Ai hasn't. So they're like, you can get off the island, you can leave, get out of here before the 4 demon gods mark you. And she's like hesitant at first, but she does leave, and that's when she goes and she runs into Inyuasha and the other in the group, and she's like, tells them like, hey, I'm from the island. Oh yeah, she couldn't leave the island in the first because the island disappears every 50 years, so she had to wait 50 years after not being marked to escape, and then go find Inyuasha and the others. Let's see, let me check my notes. Oh, I like one of Inyuasha's newer techniques, the Blades of Blood. Now, he might have used that in the show. I don't remember. Like, I know, like, Adamant Mirage was a big thing. The Red Tetsaiga was a thing that could destroy barriers until it wasn't, until it became, like, irrelevant immediately, like, after he got it. Always the Iron Reaper Soul Stealer. I like that move, but Blades of Blood look cool. Like, Inyuasha, when he gets his hand cut, he like swings his hand and releases blood. It was cool. It was cool. But the children the youngest one, Ai, is adorable. I thought like she looked really cute. They were the other children are like they're clawed. They're marked by the 4 gods, so they can't escape. And there's like this song they're singing, kind of like, it reminds me of the poems that were in Inyuasha, the Castle Beyond the Looking Glass. It kind of reminds me of that, like how this song she's singing is relevant to like something that happens later in the plot. The demon gods do feel powerful. I was kind of confused by some of them because like Gora was like the water turtle god thing, and then you had what was his name? Hold on, sorry guys. Kayora was the flamboyant fire god, and then there was Jura, who I thought was a thunder god because he has this like thunder cannon. It's supposed to be like thunder blast, but then Ryura had like wind, lightning, and thunder. Like I thought they were gonna be like individual gods. Like Gora's the water god, Kyora's the fire god, Jura's the thunder god, and then like maybe like Kyora's the lightning god. Like that's how I would have done it. But since Kyora had like two of the powers, and then no, Kyora just had strictly fire. Kyora was just like a water troll that released like cannons and stuff and blasts like that. And then, you know, Jura had that thunder cannon, and then like I said, Ryura had like the wind blade, the lightning blade, and then he had some kind of earth technique too. But that's how I would have done it. But they were still entertaining. They were still very powerful. They came off very intimidating. Let's see what else I have in my notes for this part. Gora is. Oh, I also like how like once the war guard is taken out, one of the claw marks on the children's back disappears. So letting them know like, hey, like you guys are getting weaker and weaker, and they're beating you. And one thing I find really entertaining that I'll probably mention in battles, I'll probably mention again, is that Shishomaru one-shots one of the four demon gods. I loved it. I thought that was amazing. I was like, yes, Shishomaru, they make you look bad in this movie, bro. They ain't never making you look bad. There's some hilarious gags throughout the movie where like, so at one point, as Inyuasha's trying to convince them, like, hey, you don't have to sacrifice yourselves to this cauldron because, like I said, these children have been indoctrinated to believe, like, every 50 years we have to sacrifice ourselves to appease the war gods so they don't destroy all of us, or, like, eventually they might leave us alone. And so the oldest one goes to sacrifice herself. I think her name was Asagi. She goes to kill herself to, like, save the group. And as the cauldron opens up, you know, it's a fiery pit. And she's like, oh, don't worry, I'll become a firefly. You don't have to worry about me. And she goes to jump in, and Inyuasha chases after her. And now, supposedly, you immediately die if you jump into this cauldron. But instead, because Inyuasha has the cloak of the fire rat, which, you know, bravo for that because it protects him from fire techniques, she doesn't get burned. And then Inyuasha meets inside of there the spirit of Lady Kanane, the priestess from their time when the four war gods showed up, and she gives us the backstory about Tayori Island, like how it was a sanctuary for humans and demons to live together, fall in love, mingle, half demon children. And then the demon war gods just showed up one day, and how she sacrificed herself and sealed herself with the spears of power in there. Now, she's not strong enough to destroy it, so she gives it to Inyuasha. She's like, hey, look, don't open this, but you know, just destroy it, and they won't have a way to get their power back. And, you know, there's some hilarious gags. Once Inyuasha breaks himself out, he destroys the whole cauldron, which was amazing. But yeah, in the end, towards the end, that's when the fake priestess, the replica Kikyo shows up, steals the box from Inyuasha. He's too awed by the fact that like she looks like Kikyo. And so she does open the box. That's why I got confused, I think, earlier when I talked about like why didn't they just use like the fake priestess Kikyo to get their powers back. That's because she couldn't go into the cauldron because she would have died. So Inyuasha bringing their spears of power back out allowed her to open it up. So that makes more sense. So bravo there, two for two. It might deserve its 10 for 10 spot in the rank. Let's see, what else can I remember off the top of my head about my notes? So at one point, they all get separated. Well, I forgot to mention, like, while Inyuasha and Asagi are inside of the cauldron, possibly being burned alive from what the group thinks, the rest of them are being attacked by poisonous insects. Just a little subplot to give like our other characters something to do. The poem comes back into play here, like how to open the cauldron. Like it's like the hand of a demon and the hand of a mortal or something like that, or hand of a pure-hearted demon, something like that. But anyway, Shippo's the one that opens the door, and Inyuasha destroys it. the whole cauldron. And the insects, I think they just kind of fuck off at some point. They just kind of like disappear. Or I think Morocco might have used his wind tunnel, but if there's too much poison, he gets weak. Also, everybody had something to do. I love when our side characters have things to do. Sango and Morocco take on Jura. Sesshomaru takes on Kayaro, the fire one from the one that he fights 50 years ago as well. And and then Inyuasha faces the fake Kikyo. So let me break down each individual thing really fast. So Inyuasha versus the fake Kikyo, it mind fucks him because he's still in love with Kikyo. Like, so even though she's attacking him, he's hesitant. And even when he can deliver the final blow, he doesn't. And she's about to get the upper hand and like bite him. And that's when the real Kikyo shows up and shoots him. She's like, I can't believe you fell for that fake invitation of me. Like, please. And she doesn't even like acknowledge him fast. She's like, please, you fell for that fake replica of me, and just walks off like a badass. And she drops her bow and arrow, which will become relevant later. I think she dropped the arrow, not a bow and arrow. She just dropped her. No, she might have dropped both. But it becomes relevant later. Then getting into Sesshomaru, how Sesshomaru ended up on the island in general wasn't just because he like showed up there randomly. His father had two subordinate demons who had like, one had this like fan that Kayora steals, and the other one had like the cannon that Jura eventually steals. They came to Sesshomaru and be like, hey, your dad wanted to destroy these 4 war gods. They're out there. Will you help us? And Sesshomaru was like, I'm not doing anything for my father. I hate my father. Get up, fuck off. And so the two subordinates go to fight anyway. And then we all know Sesshomaru is a good guy deep down inside. So even though Kayoro destroyed these two subordinates, Sesshomaru shows up and like tries to avenge them, but he gets marked by one of the 4 war gods, which is Cairo, and that's how Sesshomaru gets lured back to the island. So again, giving Sesshomaru relevance to be in the story. We already know how Kikyo and Inyuasha ended up there, because 50 years ago they stumbled upon the island, the children, and they got cut down by the war gods. Towards the end, like after we deal with after Kairo's defeated and Jura's defeated, Goro's the last one. We're gonna get into more about like the battle specifically when we get to the battle section. But Goro's the last one to be defeated, and he starts trying to destroy the island because since he's not dead yet, since the children have. Well, we believe one more claw mark. There's actually going to be 2. We believe there's one more claw mark. These children can escape. So Gyro starts doing like a buster call on the island. Like, you guys can't escape the island. So if the island drowns, if the island's no more, you guys are just going to drown to death. You're going to die with the island. So I thought that was like really cool because the stakes were getting really high. And the way he's defeated is like Morocco and Inyuasha show up and they double team him. Now, Inyuasha does defeat... Ryura before he fights Garo with Morocco. They double team him, but we'll get in. Like I said, the battle section, I'll explain more about that. But just as far as entertaining wise, very good. Let me check any more notes about this. No, I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, as far as entertaining wise, like I enjoyed it. The stakes felt high. I like that our characters have like an ambition to want to save these children. They have a connection to these children. So Shambu has a connection to the island. Kikyo has a connection to the island. And the narrative is convincing because, children are susceptible to believing whatever he tells them. So them believing like, hey, like, oh, if we just keep sacrificing ourselves, like someone will get to live. Eventually they'll leave us alone. But like, no, they want to kill all of you so they can get their power back. It's not a basic story, but it is very creative, especially when you know the backstory about Hiyori Island. So for that, another 10 out of 10 for entertaining.
The battles.
All right, we're going to talk about the battles and the villains. We're going to wrap it up in the conclusion and rank all the movies together. So, where am I at with the battles? The opening battle starts out against Gora, the water demon. It's Inyuasha and Kikyo. They take him down. Inyuasha can't hurt the turtle demon at first. Has like this amazing like defensive power. That's Gora's thing. And Gora doesn't even have much of personality. It does talk, but like we don't realize that at first. Because Inyuasha is like, attacking him with all his moves, nothing's working. And then Kikyo realizes like Gora has like a head, like so. I think like the way it was like a snake demon, but then like its head was like somewhere up there, and like Kikyo, she like strikes it with her arrow, a holy arrow, and she's like, "Hey, now attack it." And we think Goro's taken down. We think one of the 4 war gods is just defeated like that. Might as well have been, but knowing the story, that's why not. Then we get a preview of the initial fight between Koro and Sesshomaru, kind of just showing their flashback how they got started, or how they re-met. Yeah, this is like their first reappearance fight. It was entertaining enough. There's a short fight between Morocco and Sango against Jura, showing us like, hey, that's gonna be a clean fight. Inyuasha also fights Ryuya in this first fight, and he loses. Like, he gets decimated by Ryuya. Ryuya hits him with this like lightning technique, and he's like, he's like shocked. And that's what I mean by like, I thought each god would have like, powers. Like, I thought Goro would be the water demon, Kura would be the fire demon, Jura would be the thunder god, and Ryu would be the lightning god, because that's the way it's set up anyway. Although Goro never uses any kind of water techniques, but I mean, a giant turtle, tsunami, typhoons, they could have did something. Let me see what else. Yeah, so I gave Sesshomaru's fight an A+, because, like, he ain't go down. I gave Inyuasha a C-, just because, like, I was like, Inyuasha could do a little bit better. Don't worry, Inyuasha, he's one of my favorite characters. He's a goat. See what some other notes I have here. Yeah, it looks like after that, I just kind of went to, like, because I kind of already talked about some of these already. This is just kind of like re-emphasizing the battles that happened. This is what, and then midway through the movie, Inyuasha meets the fake Kikyo. There's like a short little battle, like before he actually fights and like the other Kikyo kills her. It's like a short little like tug of war fight over like the spears of power, and she gets away. But towards the final battle, this is where the real battles happen. So Sango and Morocco are fighting Gora and Jura at the same time, like kind of like I thought they would take them both out. I also have to mention that Sango's. Oh wait, no, that's later. That's later. Anyway, so Jura has like the second transmission. They can handle him at first because they like take the way that Jura loses his like thunder cannon is because Morocco uses like wind tunnel and they're flying around on Kalala, so he can't catch up. So Jura is the only one that seems like he has like a second transmission. He transforms into like this flying winged beast, and like he goes after them, and like they're trying to fight him while avoiding Gora's like attacks. So they're like, okay, we have to use their attacks against each other. That's the only way to take them down. So what they do is, when Jura releases like these like, I don't even know what they were. It was like a you know, like the things like on a ship, or like it's like those cannonballs that are attached by like a chain. It was kind of like that, but like lightning balls. And like launched one of those, and then Jura dodged it. He's like, you thought I would fall for that? Because they were trying to make Jura run into Gora's attack, but Morocco uses wind tunnel to draw the attack, Jura into that attack, and then while he's getting like shocked, Sango throws Haraiko and kills him. So bravo, Sango, you did one awesome thing the whole movie. You took out one of the demons. They don't take out Goro themselves. That happens later. Then we're in, I believe, Sesshomaru's perspective. He's fighting Cairo, and Cairo is showing off with this wind fan. The wind fan, it seems like it like amplifies his fire powers, like controls like how much, it maybe like increases the flames, because you know like wind technically does increase fire. The more wind you have, the bigger the fire rises. So that's probably what he was going for, like the author. So that was pretty cool. And then, but Sesshomaru takes him out with just one single dragon strike. He's like, please, you're not even on my level. And I thought there was like some flirtation from Cairo to Sesshomaru. Could have been a joke, because I remember I said this in the anime review, that like there was like 2 demons that hit on Inyuasha. They were both flamboyant and gay, but like both times Inyuasha was like, back the fuck off. But it was still funny just to like see that kind of thing. But I love that Sesshomaru took him out like one hit, one dragon strike. Done. So that was 2 claw marks gone. Jura when Sango and Morocco took him out, and then the second one when Sesshomaru took out Kaiora. And so then we go to Inyuasha's perspective. He's talking to he's fighting the fake Kikyo at this point, and that's when like he can't finish her off, and Kikyo shows up, and she like, it's like, why did you let that fake imitation almost kill you? And she drops her bow and arrow, which is going to become relevant later. Then we go to Inyuasha going after. Well, it's kind of like a little short battle between like these kids and Kagome and Shippo. Kagome didn't get captured this time. Surprise, surprise. All three movies so far, she's been captured at one point. This time she wasn't, but they try to stand up to him, and they lose. But I like Shippo gets like one more. Shippo doesn't fight, but he has like this one more where he protects the kids with his body. He transforms like a shield or something, like a balloon, and he like takes Ryu's attack, and he survives, but he doesn't win. Then Inyuasha shows up to like really take down Ryura, and Ryu is at first like beating I couldn't want to call Inyuasha Ichigo. He keeps beating Inyuasha down, but these kids see how like Inyuasha is like resilient. Inyuasha doesn't give up, so they start grabbing whatever they can, like sticks, logs, a hammer, and they're just like trying to like hurt Ryu. And Ryu just like big slaps these kids. He's like, get out of here! You can't do fuck them kids. And your dad inspires me. Watch Angel was like, look, I understand how you guys feel. I'm a half demon too, and it could be the fact that like Inyuasha's a good guy. It could be the fact that Inyuasha's a half demon. Two things could be true. Maybe it's both. But it inspires Inyuasha, and he overpowers Ryua just like he did against Lord Takame. The guy from the last movie, the Lord's an honorable ruler. He overpowered him as well, surprising him, like, because he's like, oh, yeah, I'm a half demon because humans are stubborn and, we don't like backing down. Anyway, takes him down. The third scar is removed. So then we have our last battle against Goro, who goes all Buster Call on the island, as I said, in entertaining. Like, he's like, okay, you know what? The kids can't leave the island, so y'all can all drown together. And instead, I think it's like Morocco and Inyuasha take him down. I forget how. I think Morocco did something first with like wind tunnel. Or no, he threw like the spear again at the head, and then Inyuasha finished it off for the last time. And then, of course, the battle's not over. That's when we get the final form of like all of the gods combined together into one. I don't think there was a name for it, but it's just like a culmination of like the four war gods into one. And it can use all four powers, and it's overpowering Inyuasha, it's overpowering Kagome. And what happens is like one of the fireflies guides the children to Kagome's bow and arrow that she Kikyo's bow and arrow that she left behind, that she dropped when she saved Inyuasha from the replica. And because Kagome's bow and arrow was destroyed when, I forgot to mention that in the entertaining, when Inyuasha destroyed the cauldron, the rocks and everything that blew everywhere, one of them destroyed her bow and arrow. So she didn't have that the whole time to help him fight. And then the spirits, or the fireflies, power up Kagome and Inyuasha, and together they take down the villain. And then it's like, a happy ever after. The demon children probably go off and live their life. Well, they can now finally live their lives. They left the island that they've been trapped on for 50 years. And, they'll probably travel with Inyuasha and his friends for a while, as far as we know. But very cute movie. Make sure to check all my notes for the battles I want to mention. I think that's it for the battles. So let's just talk about the war gods themselves. Starting with Gora. There's not much to say about this guy. Like, he's a giant turtle demon. I'll give him one thing. He's incredibly durable, but I do think he should have just like strictly had like water powers. Like, give him the power to control tsunamis. Make a whirlpool under him. Because that is one thing that Morocco had to do. He had to like absorb like a lot of water just to get Jura's like thunder cannon when they were fighting Gora and Jura. Those names are so weird and sound too similar, but that's what he had to do. He was absorbing some like water, so that could have been like Goro's weakness. Like, he's like, oh, you're taking out my water, and then like maybe his underbelly has the face instead of his head. Like, after you absorb so much water, like his underbelly shows. That would have been a clever way to take him down. I don't know, something like that. But Goro, even on my notes, I don't think I have much to say about him. Yeah, just a turtle demon who also shoots blast from his body, because like I said, I didn't understand what it was. I know it was like some kind of like electric cannon whip thing with chains on him. He had that going for him. But, I mean, he got taken down at the beginning of the movie, but not really, because he was still alive. Well, he must have vanished like the others, because like in the beginning when they all battle, the four gods, Inyuasha, Shomaru, Inyuasha, Kagome, and Sango, That's it, right? The reason why they don't die is because the four war gods, like every time the island disappears, like they have to go with the island. They have to disappear. They can leave the island, but like because they're all cursed to the island or drawn to the island, they disappear with the island. Next one we can talk about is Jura. Jura has a thunder cannon, so I feel like he. So when it comes to thunder and lightning, it's hard to tell what the. I mean, I know there's a difference, but like I would have gave him like strictly like thunder, like how he said like he has this is thunder can like release blast of thunder like blast of sounds. It was a cool like little thing because I have used a character in one of my stories that specifically he has a rocket launcher on his shoulders, and he's a normal human. He's a like well, I mean, you know, an anime manga, whatever. Like they're inhuman, but like he's the most human. But his whole thing is that he carries his cannon on his shoulders, and I'm not gonna reveal his other part of his backstory, but you'll see it when you get there. Anyways, that's how he fights. So this cannon is like huge. It's like I don't know what I measured it in, but like just like whatever would be like really heavy for a human, he like swings around and attacks people with it. But he can also shoot like rockets from it constantly, and that's his power. So Jura, I like his design as well. Yeah, speaking of Goro's design was pretty basic. Jura's design, I liked it. It was really cool. Let me see what I have for notes for him. Jura, thunder weapon. Latest main weapon, rocket launcher, fighting weapons. It's like, yeah, he's the only one that has like a secondary form. I'm not sure why that is, but it kind of gave me like, you know how like Ukiria in Bleach is the only one that has like a second release. It kind of gave me that, except he wasn't the final one they fight. Like Ryuya could have had the final second form, or you could have like subverted expectations and have Jura have the second form, but then the second form is like the final demon they fight for whatever reason. Like it would have just been a subversion of expectations. Moving on to Ryura. I said like I thought he was funny because he's obviously the flamboyant kind of one. I think wait, what do I have for him? Oh, I said Ryura. Oh no, that was Cairo. Okay, let's move on to Cairo. Not him yet. Yeah, Cairo was a flamboyant kind of one. I felt like he was kind of like flirting with Sesshomaru in battle, or not really flirting with him, but like he was saying like we're like kindred spirits on the battlefield. And Sesshomaru was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And he just like one shots him. And he's like, "I don't deal with weak demons anyway." But I do. I know like a lot of people like fire powers. I'm more susceptible to lightning, and if I can't have lightning, I'd rather have wind powers, which is why Ryura is more my favorite. But Cairo, his design's cool. The fan, like I said, is cool, especially because like, you know, wind increases like heat and fire. So I feel like that's maybe what they were going for with the fan. But since he doesn't like fight too much, he does fight 3 times, but all 3 fights are against Sesshomaru. Once in present day, and it's kind of like a tie. Once in the past where he just escaped, and then the 3rd time Sesshomaru just one shots him. So I give you props for like just hyping up my Sesshomaru because Sesshomaru is my dude. And then lastly, Ryuya. Ryuya has the coolest design. I like that he has 2 blades, but he's the only one that has like multiple powers. He has the blades of wind and he has the blade of lightning, which could be cool. But then I think he had the earth thing too, because he's something about like earth when he shielded himself. So he might have had like multiple powers. But his design was cool. I like that he overpowered Inyuasha. It made him an opposing threat, an opposing enemy. And then, you know, Inyuasha obviously overcame him because, like, Inyuasha is, like, a human, but he also believes in himself. And you know how it goes. Main character syndrome. But Ryu had a cool design, cool power set. I like his dual swords. Don't have much else to say about that. Their final form, it was giving Bio Broly. It was, like, ugly. But I do like that they could use all the powers because that's something I'm working on now, like giving one of my main villains like these excessive powers that they stole. Although Jura, this final form didn't steal those, he just looks ugly as fuck. Fake Priestess Kikyo, real quick about her, hit or miss. But I like that she like stalled Inyuasha in a way, like made him hesitate. But there's not really much to say about her. So with all my thoughts now gathered together, we're going to go to the conclusion and we're going to see how we feel about the very end of all of this. And then we're going to rank them. So let's go. All right. The very last Inyuasha movie, Fire on Mystic Island. Where does it go on the ranking tier list? Well, if you heard the whole review, you guys know I love this movie. Sesshomaru got hype moments. The story of the Hodori Island is really cool because it gives more emphasis to honor Zords of an honorable ruler when like we saw in Inyuasha's sad past where like he was a half demon that was shunned by other demons just like Naruto was, and the other kids didn't want to play with him, but he still had his mother's love, which is what you get from Hodori's Island. You get like these demons and humans, they love each other and they like care about each other. I love the design of the four war gods. I do think their power set should have been different, but as far as story, like I said, story over just like design wise and power set, it's pretty good. It's pretty high. So I'm going to rank Inyuasha, Fire on Mystic Island, above. I'm going to rate it above Affections Across Time. So that is our list. Final ranking coming up right now. All right, guys, time for the final ranking of all the Inyuasha movies. Where do they go from best to semi-best? Because there's no worst Inyuasha movie. Nothing ended up in the Raku tier. Nothing ended up in Sango tier. Nothing even ended up in Keikyo or Kagome tier. Which Keikyo and Kagome tier are good tiers, but these movies are better than that. So where do they go? Well, number one spot goes to Zords of an Honorable Ruler. The reason why is because we got to see Inyuasha's dad for the first time. I don't remember any of that from the anime. I remember he was talked about, referenced, how strong he was and everything. But it also brings Sesshomaru and Inyuasha together to fight. I think they did fight together in one point, but like they mostly were fighting against each other. And Sesshomaru has a badass moment. Sesshomaru has like this realization within himself that he cares about Ran and Jockin and his horse. And Inyuasha and him teaming up, it was just awesome. It was dope. And the story is great. It's a love triangle. Like I've already mentioned that Inyuasha is a love triangle. It's about Inyuasha, Kagome, and Kikyo. Don't get it twisted. This movie is about Lord Takame, Lady Izayoi, and Toga, Inyuasha and Sesshomaru's dad. But it was good. It was great. I loved it. The fights, the battles, everything was amazing. Top notch. So that's why it's in my number one spot. Number two is going to go to Fire on a Mystic Island, the one we just reviewed last. The reason why is because I like the motivation of Inyuasha, Kikyo, Sesshomaru, like why they came back to this island. The demon children's backstory is very sad. You really get invested in like why they believe they're stuck on this island and how long they could have been stuck on the island. Like every 50 years there's a sacrifice every time the island shows up and their whole village is already dead. And like we don't know if like is it because the four war gods killed them or if it's been like people died after that, just sacrificing themselves constantly. I think it was answered in the movie, but I don't remember. But either way, very good. It felt very emotional, especially how it ends. The ending is very cute. And, I'm a sucker for another Sesshomaru movie where Sesshomaru gets to be badass. And like I said, he one-shotted one of the four war gods. Dope. That's why it's in the number 2 spot. The number 3 spot is going to go to Affections Across Time. You guys know my first review, I was like, this came out strong. It came out strong as hell. It had no right to come out that strong for an Inyuasha first movie. It was like Pokemon the first movie, like that kind of high, because we got Moroku having his own battle to fight with duplication and getting to see for the first time like what happens when a person gets sucked into their own wind tunnel. Sango is fucking relevant. Sango fucking had somebody to fight, and Sango didn't get beat by her own weapon, which I forgot to mention in my review for Fire on Mystic Island. The last villain, the fusion of all those monsters, it caught Sango's Haraiko. And I'm surprised they didn't throw it back at her, but yeah, he caught her weapon. Because usually that thing is thrown back at her, she's knocked out. So for that reason alone, the fact that Sango didn't get knocked out by her own Haraiko is why Affections Across Time is number 3. Very good job. Now, number 4 is the Castle Beyond the Looking Glass. The reason why you're number 4, and it's not even like a bad spot, it's just because the other 3 stories, our character Inyuasha has relevance to be there. Castle Beyond the Looking Glass, it was more like hey, it's convenient that you're here and you happen to have one of the 5 sacred objects I need to escape. So it was more of a convenience than it was like, anybody could have been here. And, it's kind of, because I brought up Pokemon, it's kind of like comparison, like the fact that like anybody could have put those fireballs and thunderballs and ice balls on that plaque, but because Ash's name was in the story, that's why. But you could call that a plot convenience, because if Ash's name was in the story, anybody could have put those orbs there. And so, And one last Pokemon comparison, Pokemon 3, going back to like being relevant to our character, Pokemon 3, Ash's mom was captured by a fake Entei, so Ash had to go save her. And that's what I mean. When you make a story relative to your character and make them integral to it, it makes the story so much better. And that's the only reason why Castlevania Looking Glass is number 4. So that was my review. Hope you guys stuck around to the end. If you did, thank you for watching. If you didn't, maybe I can entertain you with the next video, because up next is Prototype. I know, finally, Prototype is coming. But until then, check out this promotion from me, the author of the Shinry series and the Chronicles of Wayne. Check out the link tree below for all my current published books. The Shinry series starts with Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. 10 years after the death of his parents, Shobu Samurai returns home to save it from powerful enemies, shadow creatures, blood beasts, and an organization once thought dead. The Shinry series is your high fantasy action adventure. Think of it as an inspiration and a love letter to anime and manga everywhere. Or, if you prefer monsters and werewolves, check out the Love Be Damned series, The Chronicles of Wayne. Cotton candy, full moons, fabled lovers, a cursed virgin's bite. If you go where monsters dance, red will rain over your house. Love be damned. That sounds like a load of gibberish if you ask me, Barb. It's a cute little story about a boy who falls in love with the hottest guy at school who turns out to be a werewolf. And it gets into all kinds of shenanigans, especially against a battle with the dark wizard. Check me out, guys. Love you and thanks for subscribing.